Waiting for Mike.
All right, hello everybody. I was just waiting for the YouTube screen on my thing to open up so I could mute that. Hello, toys. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, and how are you tonight, Mike?
All right, so let's see. Well, see, we did have 3 people waiting. I guess according to this, it's still waiting, but all right. So gonna let's see. We had 3 people waiting, so 3 people waiting, watching, hopefully. So oh, second. Hey, Woody. So
Hey,
Woody's the
Woody.
one who's here, and as always, guys. Of course, as I always say, I do like and appreciate any and all likes and shares. Hopefully, we can get some more friendly people in here to enjoy the content. Wait at least wait until at least the 5 minute mark to see if anybody else shows. Got 3 people in here, so if we can maintain that, up to about 5 minutes, so we'll start then. So while we're at it, toys,
Yep.
was there anything you wanted to talk about real quick, or anything you want to promote or anything like that?
Oh, I am doing. I don't have it with me right now, but I am doing a giveaway when I hit 500 subscribers. It's going to be a giant 18-inch Scareglow from Masters of the Universe.
Hmm.
So that's that. Also, check me out on Twitch at the Action Toys channel.
Oh, you got a Twitch channel now, huh?
Yeah, I've been streaming there for a while. I just don't promote it very often.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have an account on there. I just haven't started streaming on it myself either. Just
You should get OBS, then you can stream here and there without having to pay a subscription to StreamYards.
I tried working with OBS and I just can't seem to figure it out.
It took me like a day to figure out how to put the stupid timer on the screen for a chat game, the Pokemon community game. It was funny. I was so
I mean,
I just went in. I just
I
asked
mean,
Chrome, can you help me check this
I
out?
have been starting to think a little bit about I have been starting to think a little bit about possibly trying to do like a dual stream on YouTube and on Twitch. I figure I could probably do that through StreamYard as well. But I haven't. Again, it's like I'm a little reluctant because I'm not as technically savvy as. Woody's asking you something here, toys. I'll highlight it.
What do you do there, toys? Well, so the videos that you see me post, sometimes I do toy restorations live. So if you're interested in figuring out how to do something and I'm streaming, you can just ask and I'll probably do something to fix something like that on the fly. So you'll be more informed on how to do it yourself. I also sometimes I'm bored and I got no content. I stream my 3D printer going making stuff.
You stream your what?
My 3D printer.
Oh, 3D print. Okay.
Yeah. I take another Next Geo PX90 30 whatever this one is, and I have it set up on the bed so you can see you can watch the prints being made. Pretty fun.
All right. So let's see. So we're at 4 minutes 20. So yeah. So and even though it's telling me 2 viewers, I think we actually have 3. So
Mm-hmm.
I think as I said when
Well,
we
mine's open in the chat, but I'm not talking in the chat.
yeah.
So.
Oh, he's saying that does sound fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You even get to watch me fail live most of the time. Oh. Oh, okay. You get to see me fail live most of the time. Like that 18-inch Scaregirl I was talking about earlier. I originally I painted it black on stream because I want to see how it looked, and then I ended up using a water-based paint, which when I started just putting my hand out and rubbing on it, it started flaking off, and I was like, no, Darth Vader, no, real loud. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're at the 5 minutes mark. Well, coming up more on like 5.5 minutes. We got 3 of us here, so I'm going to go ahead and start getting started a little bit here. So tonight we're going to be looking at. We're going to start our coverage of September of 1938, where we're going to be like looking back at the books that went on sale at that time from DC, including the 5th issue of Action Comics, the 20th issue of the 20th issue of Detective Comics, the 31st issue of New Adventure Comics, which will be the last issue under that title before it transitions to becoming Adventure Comics, running from issue 32 through the rest of its run, and then More Fun Comics number 36. We'll hit a story from each of those. Before we get to all that, though, we're going to do some character introductions as the villain from the Zatara story. So tonight we'll be looking at the stories we'll be covering include the Zatara story from Action Comics, the Crimson Avenger story, making his debut in Detective Comics number 20, and then we'll of course look at a couple of Siegel and Schuster's works from the other books. Federal Men and New Adventure and Radio Squad from from More Fun. So, anyways, let's first off, I'm gonna go here. Now, of course, the first introduction we're going to do is the Zatara villain of Amenhotep, who in the DC world, in the DC comics, will make another appearance in Justice League of America, Volume 1, number 51 in 1967. So he has basically, this is the mainstream universe 1930s, 1950s, or 50s. Amenhotep was a wizard with impressive magical powers who was born in Egypt and lived in the 18th dynasty. When he fell out of favor with the reigning pharaoh of the time, he escaped execution by placing himself into suspended animation and faking his own death. Okay, so we're not gonna read the history. We'll see the history throughout, but we will look at powers and abilities and notes and all that. So power, sorcery. Just some quick notes here. He was an enemy of Zatara, and as with many a case here, some of these characters, their histories were changed due to the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, a number of the crises. So now we'll also take, and then so there's that Menotep from Earth 2. Now we're gonna also take a look at. We're gonna say hello to the Crimson Avenger here real quick. Crimson Avenger and oh, okay, yeah. As soon as I can find the right one. All right, here I'm gonna have to. I should have probably just done it more like I did with the first character there, and just go to the book instead of trying to. Because there have been a few characters named Crimson Avenger. And the funny thing about Crimson Avenger too is that you could see similarities with him and the Green Hornet. And I was looking this up earlier. Um, at least in terms of like I guess in comics, there's comic books. I guess Green Hornet. Even though most people remember the Green Hornet from its '60s television series around the same time as Batman, with Bruce Lee as Kato,
Mhm.
it actually predates Crimson Avenger because it started up in 1936.
Hmm. Cool.
So here we go. So I'm gonna introduce you to Lee Travis, Crimson Avenger, and also his sidekick Wing. So Lee Travis was the Crimson Avenger, one of the first mystery men active shortly before and during World War II. He was a member of the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Now, mind you, he was even active before Batman. You know, and the Seven Soldiers of Victory that included like Vigilante, Shining Knight, uh, the Star Spangled Kid and Striped Sea, Green Arrow, the Golden Age Green Arrow, who had a somewhat, he and Speedy were also part of him. So let's see now. So won't get into the history because we'll read all that as we read the stories over time. Um, Now, in his civilian disguise, of course, Lee Travis was a publisher. He was a publisher in his so so here he didn't have any specific powers, but his abilities include business management. Being a publisher. I think he was a. I don't know if he was a magazine publisher or a newspaper publisher, but he was a publisher. So business management, pre-crisis, they said he had the ability equestrianism. For those who don't know what that is, that's basically horse riding. He was a accomplished horse rider, basically. Um, Basic hand-to-hand combat, marksmanship. Marksmanship is the ability to use a gun or use any kind of projectile weapon, usually a gun. Um, and then pre-crisis martial arts. Um, he had some knowledge of jujitsu, and from what I understand, at least from some of the things I've seen, some of his moves also seem to be reminiscent of kung fu as well, the Chinese martial art. Um, Probably goes without saying with because who his sidekick was. Um, so paraphernalia, his equipment. Less than a year into his crime fighting career, the Crimson Avenger began using a sleeping gas gun instead of the original 45 caliber pistol. So he went from using bullets to gas, and he wasn't the only superhero who did this. There were a few others, Sandman, Blue Beetle. Now, at the very beginning, in his first appearance in Fox Publications, okay, back in the 40s, he, a lot of these heroes of the time, these mystery men heroes of the time, the mask on, would wear the fedora and the business suit and all that. Their weapon of choice often seemed to be like a gas gun that could shoot, some form of gas, like whether it be sleeping gas or tear gas or not, what have you. So
Mhm.
that was a pretty. And then, of course, later, both the Crimson Avenger and Sandman would both adopt more of what you would call the traditional superhero garb and would fight more like that. So, um, and then the note here is just simply saying it's the whole thing with about the Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that. Trivia: the Crimson Avenger has some strong, and I mentioned this too at the beginning. The Crimson Avenger has some strong similarities to the commercially successful Green Hornet, including his choice of weapons, his sidekick's Asian ethnicity, and his alter ego is okay. So he's a newspaper publisher. I thought that's
Yeah.
what it was, but just wasn't completely because I remembered it was a publisher. Just so that's that, and then we have one more character to preview before we get into the actual readings of the actual comics. That's Wing Hao. You know, his sidekick Wing. And see, this is an example of Wing's superhero garb. You know, that was
Mhm.
later in their careers. I think he wore your stereotypical like chauffeur's uniform of the time. Uh, So, and his abilities, of course, included questionism. I explained what that was. Advanced
Mhm.
hand-to-hand combat. You know, having some more advanced martial arts training. You and of course, they also talk about how he bears a resemblance to Kato from Green Hornet. So that's at least the intros on some of the new characters that we'll be looking at. So as we get ready to now get into reading the actual comics. Now that we've done all the intro work. And of course, we'll start off with the Action Comic stuff. And you guys have probably seen this already. I usually will go in ascending order when it comes to so like the comic with the lowest issue number I'll do first, and then go in kind of ascending order. So, while I'm doing that, Toys, was there anything you wanted to add to what I just initially talked about here, or?
Uh, no, I'm actually learning more about the comics as we go on this one. Although it was pretty cool to talk about, how the heroes and even the sidekicks start out with like traditional gangster style uh, clothing, looking more like original Green Hornet, then slowly transitioning into
Mhm.
tidy whities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you have to remember too, the early days of comics was more like as you've seen as I've been doing this historical comic retrospect for a while. These early comics had a lot of pulp elements to them,
Hmm.
and once Superman made his debut, then you started to see more of
Wearing their underwear on the outside.
right, or well, the superhero genre became the more popular, but you had other genres being represented too, but superhero was. So here we go. 64 pages of thrills, action comics. Of course, that's the cover date right there, October 1938. This is number 5. Went on sale in September. So an ad for the Barry O'Neill story in New Adventure Comics. There's a Superman story. And again, we'll probably be reading more Superman a little later. The only reason I'm not doing it now is partly because I know there'll be a run there where there'll be like 6 or 7 issues where I'll probably be reading it because of his first encounters with his first major recurring foe, the Ultra Humanite. But that won't come until between issues at 13 and 19 of Action Comics. But I'm showing you like some of the, and you notice here too. You notice his uniform. His Go back up a bit. You see his uniform, how different it looks than what we think of today. Like particularly, look at his chest symbol right there. It's not quite the same as what we've come to know over the years. Color
Yeah,
scheme's pretty much the same, but of course he doesn't have red boots. I'm not even. It almost looks like he doesn't have any boots at all. You see that?
yeah. He doesn't need boots. What it was that he was caught off guard and he's, oh, I got to get there in a hurry, and he forgot his boots. That's all it was.
Hmm. This story was later titled "The Big Scoop." Look at that! Look at him carrying the girl there. I don't know if that's Lois or not, but
Well, I think he does have boots. Is that they're blue? If you scroll back up, you'll see that he has an outline for boots. Right there.
okay. Yeah, they're blue boots, so they almost almost kind of disappear into the. And here's more of a cartoony Coyote Canyon Bill, kind of a cartoony, more fantastic facts. Diddle family.
Did you get the joke on the previous panel where the bone was coming out of was hitting a rock, kind of bashed a rock, and it hit the guy?
Hey Lorenzo, how you doing, man? Thanks for dropping in. We're getting into the hey Mike. Hello, Action, Toys, and Woody. Hey guys. Hey there, Lorenzo. And just in case you guys don't know what a slee stack is, that was one of those lizard type creatures from the Land of the Lost series. Just in case you guys didn't know what that was.
Land of the Lost. Was that the
that wasn't
live TV?
What I'm talking about, you going back to the 70s live action kids show that was on Saturday morning from Sid and Marty Krofft.
Yeah.
It's Chuck Dawson in a black and white Western.
Where they had a guy in a monkey suit. That was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some black and white here. There's the Pep Morgan story by now. Gene Baxter is just another pseudonym for Fred Guarnier, who is the guy who was also writing the Zatara story that we'll be looking at here soon. Now, why they would use different aliases for different stories, I don't know, but
maybe there was what do you call it? Maybe they're formatting it like the radio shows at the time.
Want to further explain that, Toys?
Oh, radio shows in the 30s?
Well, further explain what you were saying. You further explain what you were meaning by that.
Oh, like format, like they formatted the comics after the radio shows.
Well, I wasn't aware of that, but
well, I said maybe they were. I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't put any effort into researching, but I listened to 1930s radio shows, stuff like Johnny Dollar and stuff like that.
Well, some of these characters would eventually get their own radio and film serials, like Superman, Batman, Green Hornet. You know, some of them actually would get the radio and film serials. So SERIALS, not CEREALS, just so people know. And there's Tex Thompson's story, of course. This was an Australian spy. That lady there was gonna pose as Tex's wife to fend off the efforts of another spy, of an enemy spy. So. Just getting a look there. And I'm just scrolling through this a bit so you guys can see the artwork and how things were done back then. Get into as I said, the actual reading once we hit the Zatara target. That's the one we're going to look at here in action. And then another black and white feature, Scoop Scanlon, 5-star reporter. Let's see. All right, here we go. Here's our feature presentation for Action Comics. Zatara, the Master Magician, and the Egyptian Wizard by Fred Guarnier. Zatara and Tong, his servant, on their travels about the globe, are staying in Egypt, land of Osiris and Isis, at Shepherd's Hotel in Cairo. Now I know we don't often say it quite like when they talk about the globe like that. It just simply means like they're going around the world or on a world trip, basically. That's just another way of saying it. We don't say it like that nowadays, obviously, but that was the way they put it back then. All right, so let me get focused here to see if I can pull off the voices. The fabled land of Egypt, land of ancient gods and pyramids. There is an air of mystery here, Tong. Me like mystery with you, master. Let's see. The mystery of the land of Kim begins. Help! There, there are queer marks on his body. Let us see a doctor. Now, of course, again, and we've talked about this a little bit before in the past too. The term queer back in the 30s had a totally different meaning than it does today. It just simply means strange or weird. Doesn't have the same meaning back then that it does today. Going on. The crowd will not let us pass. So Zatara throws a cloak of invisibility about them, and they disappear from the crowd into the hotel. My word! That look more like a brick. My word! My word! Where did they go? These look to be the marks of tiny swords, but no such small swords exist. George, what happened? I sent an expedition to examine the ruins of the temple in let's see. And okay, I'm gonna see if hopefully maybe just saying maybe making it a little bit bigger might make it a little more clear there. Try one more. Toys are still there? Oh, how'd that happen? I'm sorry, I didn't even realize I cut you off there.
No, it's fine. Something's going on with the tower, so I don't know. Someone probably drove into something again.
What, on your end or?
Yeah, my end. The internet company's expanding, but they're not putting up any more towers yet.
Oh, okay.
So my internet dies lately. Been dying lately.
Okay.
But coming this year, I will get fiber, so that will be a big changer.
All right.
What I miss? Anything cool?
Yeah, well, I've been like kind of making trying to make the print a little bigger because I was having a little trouble reading some of it. So like there's a particular word I couldn't make out. So I was hoping that maybe by making the print a little bigger here, that maybe I was looking at it earlier. Wasn't sure if I was going to need to or not. So that's why I didn't start out with the like I've got it now up to 500 magnification. I
Hmm.
had it at 200 before, so I'm hoping that with the extra magnification here, that maybe it will help clear up. And no, it doesn't. It didn't. So, Temple of Philu, or some miles um, down the mile. There was no danger. There was danger. I mean to find out what it was. Watch. Zatara projects his trained mind to read the memory of the unconscious man and sees the hidden temple of Philae. Okay, got it better. At the hour of the full moon. The weird power of Bleagles asserts its will, its evil influence. Your servant has had horrible, yeah, has a horrible experience. There is a stranger force at work in Philae. Your your expedition has disappeared um, in the battle. And if you will not, and if you will aid me in searching for my lost party, I will recompense you handsomely. Yeah, handsomely. Um, for those, recompense means to repay.
Or
Um,
compensate.
yeah. Um, the rescue expedition begins its march in the cool of the morning. Now is all right. Now is a good time to do some exploring by myself, Tong, to get to know the 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 plains of Philae on the Nile. Nile, that's what it is. um, Zatara projects his spirit to a point overlooking the temple of Philae and an island in the river Nile. Um, Coming close, he sees the moving door. Aha! My my friend, the Bubastis. I sense your presence, magician. Who are you?
I like that. He's just woken up after thousands of years and he can speak English.
Well, he's a sorcerer. I'm sure there's some forms of sorcery where they can translate any language.
A magical Rosetta Stone that's in your brain. That'd be pretty cool.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You 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 are very ancient, priest, priest of Bubastis, and very wise. My wisdom is the wisdom of centuries, magician. Do you come in peace or in war? Your wisdom against mine, or your wisdom against mine, magician. And may the best man win. Hmm. The priest of Philae is a wise man, Tong. He knew I was there in spirit form. I shall enjoy our adventure, yet we move too slowly.
It's his way of saying, "Giddy up."
Inhotep Naga! The camel caravan sprouts wings and, rising in the air, speeds with the swiftness of thought to ruined Philae. Yeah, in this story now, usually Zatara in speaking his spells, for his spells to work, he usually has to say them backwards. But from what I read in some of the notes earlier when I was, preparing for this earlier, this story, instead of speaking his spells backwards, they decided to have him speak gibberish. Why they did that, I don't know. But he's speaking gibberish here.
If you speak gibberish, you don't have to have anyone translate words to go backwards. Saves you money.
Well, it could be, yeah. But then he still would go back to speaking backwards.
Yeah.
So we are now face to face with Egyptian sorcery. Professor, your men are of no avail. Tong and I shall enter the statue. I believe you are right, Zatara. Only a magician can cope with the darker forces of Kem. You can't hear, Professor. If we don't come out in a week, give us up for lost and go away. No can
Pass.
no can pass through um
Iron.
iron god master. You probably noticed I was really squinting at that time.
Yeah. Well, my monitor's 55 inches, so.
So, and I guess action toy
Mm-hmm.
like he said something, and I guess you pointed out something in private chat there, huh? I should probably take a
Did
quick
I?
peek.
No, that was just me saying, "Hey, I'm back. Internet died."
Okay. I didn't. Again, it took me a while to even realize you were gone too. I was trying to. Oh yes, Tong. Ganda Nogath. How do you do? How do you like being a flower, Tong? Me smell nice, master. What do you think? Hey, Toys, what do you think would happen if your wife walked in on you there and instead of finding your present physical body there, she found you in the form of a flower?
She would neglect that flower and it would die very slowly.
Ouch! That hurt. That hurt.
The truth always hurts.
Uh,
Hmm.
anyways, um, getting more into the
I bought my wife an orchid that only needs a quarter ounce of water every 2 weeks, and she killed it.
Ooh, she sounds neglectful of flowers.
Yeah, flowers.
Goodbye, Professor. Keep a strict watch. We may return suddenly. The shadowy form of Zatara merges into the graven image of the great god Bubastis. Hmm. Well, you look the same, Tong. Me feel better, master. Dark in here. Light you shall have. There is a there is a passageway. Come. Search ends here, master. Me thinks. I'm not so sure. The steps run under the river. The river comes the stair. The river covers the stairway. Katara throws Tong into suspended animation so he will not have to breathe underwater. Down you go, Tong.
Poor Tong.
And while Tong goes underneath, while Tong goes underneath, I'm going over. Inga Sadra Iya. The power of Zatara forces the great door to slowly open. Unexpected opposition, Tong. Ashkava. Tiny but ferocious guardians of the way stand in full regalia to oppose the invaders. Zatara causes the tiny men to disappear in puffs of smoke. Look at those guys look like little demons, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do.
The magician and his helper proceed to the next door. This is a funny place, master. Good thing you here. The tail sticks. The tail. The tall sticks that lean so innocently against the wall suddenly come to life. Master, help! These things are new to me, Tong. Let us see what happens. Well, well, look what's coming. Look what's coming. She's the intruder. Zatara allows them to carry away what looks to be him. Leave them before Isis. At noonrise, she shall claim her sacrifice. Oh, Amenhotep, the strangers lie helpless before Isis. Isis is all powerful. She shall take them, the fools. Now that she's alone, we'll have some fun. I'll fix her mirror. Let's see how she does that.
Yeah.
Woe unto you, priestess of Isis. You are to die. Horribly free the strangers to escape your fate. This is magic. I am accursed. Fearing the curses of Isis, the priestess liberates Tong and the image of Zatara. You have sinned dreadfully, priestess of Isis. To escape, you must lead us behind the veil. Otherwise, I shall cast a spell on you. I dare not. Unless you lead us to those men who were taken by you, you shall be doomed to the fire. So saying, Zatara causes a great fire to appear. Follow me through the veil. Zatara finds the missing men. The expedition turned. The men of the expedition turned to stone before a great idol. They seem to have an encounter with Medusa, you would think. But the magician revives them to life. Das Kago! Save us! Take us out of here! I shall lead you to safety. Priestess, where are you? You are in the lower temples of Philae, where the last trace of Egyptian culture and life yet linger. Amenhotep has powers to conquer the world. He is all powerful. I shall take the men to safety and return alone to conquer Amenhotep. Warn him of my coming. Follow where I lead, men, who now are birds. Me Tong, master. Follow. Did I lose toys again? Nope. I guess he stepped away. Guess he stepped away for a moment. Anyways, I hope everybody's enjoying the content thus far. I know there doesn't seem to be much chatter going on, so I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the material here. Learning a thing or two about the classic comics. Oh, hey, Mighty Geeks Studio. Mandrake. No, this is not Mandrake the Magician. He was in. Mandrake was in. He was in King Comics. in David McKay publications. This is Zatara. This is John Zatara. So this is actually Zatara, who from DC, Mighty Geek. As always, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. If you guys can help out with that, that'd be appreciated. If you haven't already. But yes, and I can see why, though, Mighty Geek, you would say that he's Mandrake, because he does kind of look like Mandrake. But, of course, that's traditional magician garb. The top hat and the, suit and all that, the tuxedo. Zatanna's father. Yes, Zatanna's father. That is correct. Followed by the birds, Zatara floats upward. A part of the ceiling fades into the sunlight. Zatara and the birds fly through it. Zatara and his rescued expedition fly over the desert. Finding the rescue expedition, all persons return to human form. The old wizard in the underground temple has great power. If he is not stopped, he will conquer the world. I'm going back. And even though I wasn't able to figure out that was a D, that looks more like, it looks like somehow portion of the D got, scribbled out there. And, yeah, you're back. I saw you were, I came over and saw you were gone. So,
yeah. I had my own little minion army sitting here, so I was like, let's put these guys out.
yeah. So, yeah, Mighty Geek was was thinking that we were reading a story of Mandrake the Magician. I was telling him that no, this is Zatara, albeit they do look alike. I was explaining to him, of course, that Mandrake you can find in King Comics from David McKay publications, which we've talked about before. So,
yeah, and he's got a stereotypical magician look, so hat,
right,
suit.
yeah, and so does Mandrake.
Yeah.
A wall of force has been thrown up against me. This requires different tactics. Zatara seeks the old wizard and projects his image for a moment into the temple of Isis. Those are, of course, projection. He seems to be speaking projection waves there. You see that?
Yeah.
Seeing the word bubble there? Those are I would say projection waves. I shall come for you. Beware. So you have found me, magician. By his powerful will, Zatara advances, but is fighting against a great magician who knows the secrets of the past. Professor Dunn wants to help Zatara in his struggle. Let's dynamite the statue. We can't go beyond. We can't go beyond this point. Tong, see if you can. Tong gets a flying start. Now, from what I understand, Tong's a pretty big guy here. He's a pretty big, strong guy. Probably somewhere between 5'10" and 6 feet, maybe
Yeah.
the 180 to 2. If I had to guess, maybe in the 180 to 200. You can tell he's got some musculature right there. This guy's used to doing heavy lifting. You can just tell that.
Mm-hmm.
and jumps over the ground barrier. In the meantime, Zatara advances along the dark passageway. The wizard sends a fierce hurricane and flights of image arrows Yet always Zatara moves on. He is at the Veil of Isis. Image Mother Isis, or awake Mother Isis, awake and strike the strange magician. The image lives. Zatara feels the power of the wizard in the form of the great statue. This requires all my will and energy. Zatara and Isis are face to face. The might of Alchem blast. Alabar Zagala. The heat waves summoned by Zatara begin to melt the metal statue. Oh, look at that. That's a horrific fate for any, whether you're a statue or a human, to just feel like melting like this.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a very nice way to go. Halt, evil wizard! You see that he's emitting some kind of gas from that staff of his. Hidden by the smokescreen, Amenhotep seeks escape in the statue of Bubastis and meets Tong coming to seek Zatara. Oh boy, so he's trying to escape and he meets his enemy's assistant.
The giant tongue.
He
He went down a dark alley and met a giant tongue.
And Tong has, of course, in this particular case, Tong is the name of a character, but Tong, yeah, I think, has had a number of other meanings. I think Tong is the name of a South Asian gang as well.
Mm-hmm.
Into dust, servant of the magician, and a breeze to sweep you into nothingness. A gust of sudden wind summoned by the Egyptian sorcerer, twists down on Tong to blow his dust to death. Oh, Dendo! The wizard begins to sink into the dust as Tong resumes his swipe or his shape. So I guess it looks like Zatara reversed the spell on him. Zatara visits the fate he would have meted out to Tong upon the evil Amenhotep. The sorcerer disappears into a swirl of dust and ashes. The statue is harmless now that its wizard is dead. The priestess shall be sent away. Falai is now safe for your expedition, Professor. The end. Oh, there we go with that one. So, how did you like that story?
It was interesting. I think it would have been better if they actually used regular words.
or maybe even go to what was considered Zatara's traditional additional backward speak.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so before I move on to the next story here, let's see what you guys have been talking about here. Mighty Mandrake and Zatara, powerful sorcerers disguised as stage magicians. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they both had the ability of both true sorcery and prestidigitation. Let's see. Talk about hiding in plain sight. And then I guess he was asking you what's new.
Oh, not too much.
And
Not
you
too much.
replied.
Yeah.
And then Woody said, "Howdy, Mighty Geek Studios." So, all right. So now I know everybody wants me to get on to the next story, and I shall do that as soon as I can get over to where I need to be to help me get there. And I'm going to shrink this down a little bit to make it a little more manageable. Let's see. All right, so the next story we're going to come upon, of course, is going to be is from Detective Comics, Volume 1, Number 20. We're going to be introduced to the Crimson Avenger and the story Blockbuster. As soon as I can get there, let's see where are we at on. I know we're probably already past the we're already past the hour mark here, but that was the longest of the stories, so we should, I think Crimson Avenger story is going to be like 6 pages, and then the other two are going to be like 4. So I'll probably get through them pretty quickly. Once I, of course, get through all the rest of this stuff. Yeah, you can tell how out of practice I am with doing the voices. I mean, I was trying to do some voices there, but obviously I couldn't.
That's fine.
I hope I was diversifying it enough to where make
Yeah.
it a little bit more entertaining than just simply reading it. And as we make our way down to the actual story we'll look at, we'll, of course, breeze through some, Detective Comic. 64 pages of thrills. And, of course, as you saw with that Action Comics cover, too, many of the early covers did not feature Superman on the cover, even though he was obviously and then here's Speed Sanders' story, Saunders. Stamp Collector's Corner. Big prizes, cash.
Ooh, and a bicycle. Silver King.
And you probably remember, BatGoat would be gushing all over those ad pages.
Yeah. Let me look at these pew pews for a second.
Oh, actually,
how is BatGoat doing? Have you spoken to him or no?
No, I haven't heard from him. I would imagine, he's been enjoying his time off as a vacation.
Yeah.
Now, look at that dress that girl is wearing. You see that dress?
It's not a dress. It's a towel. She's wearing a towel.
Okay, yeah, it does kind of look like that, doesn't it? It almost looks like you just simply got a towel wrapped around it. It's a dress because it's designed as a dress, but it seems to have more the effect of just wearing a towel, as you put it.
I don't know. If I seen a damsel in distress, I'd be like, "Oh, she's pretty." But if I saw a damsel in distress wearing a towel, I'd be like, "All right, let's get over there."
Marshall Range is another black and white Western feature.
It'd be cool if they re-released those, but had someone go through and add color.
Huh?
I said it'd be cool if they re-released these with color, like the black and white westerns.
Okay. Yeah. Then here's one of Siegel shoots. There's other features: Spy with Bart Regan and Sally Norris. Oh look at that! She's a pretty tough girl, isn't she? You had pretty tough girls back then, and you notice she doesn't look like she's not like a Nicole Bass or Joni Lauer looker right there. That's a woman right there. You know what I mean? Not that Nicole Bass or Joni Lauer are unattractive women. They were, they were very attractive women while they were both still with us. But I think when people think of women, they tend to think of like Sally Norris here.
Mm-hmm. She's got some very flared shoulders.
Huh?
Some very flared shoulders. That her top.
Some very flared shoulders.
Yeah, like they just poof, they pop.
And here's Dr. Fu Manchu, which was, I think this was an adaptation of a book at that time. Give and take, which and again, some if you remember back in these days, they did have some tech stories as well, it mixed in there with the comic stories. Bruce Nelson feature. All right, here we go. Here's our feature for this one. The Crimson Avenger by Jim Chambers. Feared by the underworld and hunted by the police. The Crimson, and even though his full name would come to be known as Crimson Avenger, he would be known simply as the Crimson here. And that's him at the far right there. You see him with the gun right there?
Yeah.
As I said, kind of the fedora and the business suit kind of thing. Carries on the work of B of befriending the helpless, known as the Crimson to only his Chinese servant, Wing. Lee Travis is the wealthy young publisher of the Globe Leader, which was a newspaper, of course.
The wealthy philanthropist news owner is kind of the guy that fights the good fight for the people down below, but nowadays it's completely opposite. He's the antagonist in today's stories.
Yeah, he'd be the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
By how, well, many of the heroes back in these days were like that. They were always for the common man,
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was just contrasting it with today's news style.
Yeah. Well, remember, we have the publisher, the Globe Leader here with Lee Travis and Crimson Avenger, and you also know that Superman was, of course, newspaper reporter Clark Kent. Could you just imagine a conversation between Clark Kent and Jim Acosta? You know who I'm talking about, right?
I-beams. Yep.
How
did Superman say it? Laser eyes. Highly focused lasers, focused to such an extent that they can be used like a scalpel. So.
Yep. Fast fingers. Okay. All right. So, in a backroom card game, a man is shot by an ex-con. Is he? You croaked him, Joe. And so Joe Marco, an ex-convict, brutally murdered Jack Stone. Our witnesses have proved it conclusively. Defense lawyer Myron Brock speaks. Your Honor, I ask for one more recess. I ask for a 1 hour recess. I have found witnesses to prove my client's innocence. In the offices of the Globe Leader. But boss, this guy's guilty. He can't beat the chair. You and I know Ed, but Block is handling his case, and he's crooked. He's never failed to get a man off. Hey, Mr. Travis, Block brought in this witness, um, and on their testimony, Marco has been acquitted. Hmm. Showed his hand pretty fast this time. Block's working some racket, and we've got to break it up. Racket, of course, back then meant scheme or
Yeah.
you know, job or with no.
A form of underhandedness.
A form of underhanded what?
Underhandedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Block is working a witness racket. I'm I'm sure of it. Looks like the Crimson will have to step in. Meanwhile, at Myron Block's office, I got you out of a tough spot, Marco. Now you're going west and do a few little jobs for me. I ain't got no money to pay you, Mr. Block, but I don't want to leave town. You'll do as I say. You're too well known here. I'm going to use you as a witness in a couple of cases. Your phone's ringing, Mr. Block. On the other end of the line. That you, Block? Never mind who this. That you, Block? Never mind who this is. But get this. I'm calling you. I'm calling on you tonight at your apartment.
Calling you out in the middle of town.
I'm sorry, but I don't do business at home. You'll have to phone for an hello, hello. Con- Confound it. He hung up that night. Wait here, Wing. Be ready for a quick getaway. Yes, sir.
That is a fancy overcoat he's got.
Oh, Crimson?
Yeah.
At the rear of the apartment, the Crimson scales the wall to Block's penthouse. Wow, that's got to be some climb because if it's a penthouse, that's got to be way up there. And he's scaling the side of a building. Now, granted, he doesn't have spider powers, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Crimson surprises the butler and uses his gas gun. So he's using a gas gun here. Um, oh, the Crimson. Then it was you who, yes, I called you because you're the only one that can help me. What do you mean? What do you want me to do? I'm going to kill someone, and you're going to supply witnesses to prove I was at 12th and 12th and
Looks like
Sand,
sand. Yeah.
yeah, Sand at 11:30. Funny thing is, that particular quote right there was used. If I were to go back to the DC database page, that
Mhm.
was the quote that was up on the for the preview of that issue
Awesome.
for the summary. So I could have gone back and read it from there too. But anyways, but what do I get? But what do I get? Furthermore, I'll have to know who you are who you are in order to defend you.
No, you don't.
Never mind that yet. You'll get $50,000 cash. However, the you supply the poison and the gun. It's going to look like suicide. You'll see my reason for this murder in tomorrow's paper. Have an ins- I have an inside tip. Next day in Lee Travis's office. Hello, DA. This is Travis. May I print a story that you're about to break the biggest racket and arrest the big shot behind it? Sure, go ahead. I've almost all the evidence I need. I can't make out either of those words. I think yeah. The thing is that portion those first two words there are kind of caught. So you can't even tell what they actually are. DA DA got the goods on on big big racketeer. Give me one of those, kid. And then you see the globe leader right there in the story. Why? That means me. The Crimson thinks it's him. Hmm. I let him kill that DA. All the better. Ha. The following night, well, here I am, Block. Everything set? Yes. Yes, everything's fine. I have 6 witnesses who will prove the police exactly prove who will phone the police exactly at 11:30. Did you bring it? Did you bring my money? Before I give
So,
you, oh,
oh,
what was that?
so, so the word you couldn't read, the Walkstreet,
Oh,
yeah, that was up there. So Walkstreet was the original form of extra extra.
oh yeah, okay. And
Yeah,
I couldn't make it out partly because it was a weird spell. Yeah, I've seen that before too, and I
yeah.
have been able to. In the past, I've been able to. Again, just shows you how to practice I am with this stuff. Rook Street, yeah. And maybe I should have figured that out with the context clue right there, but
Yeah,
you know how it is getting back into something after you've been out of it for even if it just was just a couple of weeks.
yeah.
Before I give you that, I want you to try out a to type out a suicide note. All right, I'll do it, but for heaven's sakes, put away that gas gun. I'm taking no chances. Now type that note. I'll say I'm taking the easiest way out. I failed my job as DA. Crimson reaches out a gloved hand for the murder weapons. Here's the gun and poison. I know what about now? What about my pay? That's fine. Here's your pay, you rat. And look at that, he shoots out the gas gun. Oh, the gas! I can't breathe. I guess that means breathe. I guess he's trying to say breathe. The Crimson and Wing park the car near the DA's suburban home. You have your instructions, Wing. Don't fail me. Wing, Wing understand. We'll do everything as ordered. The Crimson's surprises the DA in his study. The Crimson, what brings you here? Don't move or I'll shoot. Read the papers today. Read the papers today. Thought you'd catch the Crimson, huh? Why that article wasn't about you? Shut up. Who's more hunted than I am? However, you must die. Sit there. Sit there. Which will you take? The easy way, poison, or will I have to shoot you? I'll give you 1 minute. Why I?
The hard way. Always pick the hard way.
They both hear footsteps approaching. Someone's coming. I'll leave the gun and poison. Take your choice. I'll be back, and if you're not dead, I'll do it the hard way. Meanwhile, at police headquarters, the Crimson, this is the second call. You say the warehouse at 12th and Sand? Okay. Actually, I think it might be banned, in fact. I get a better look at it. Might be banned, not Sand. Hey, Chief! Just got a rush call from the DA. Someone tried to murder him. Holy cocks! I'll go out myself. Next day at the Globe Leader. All I can do is wait. Hope my scheme worked out. Boss! The Crimson tried to murder the DA last night. What a story! We've checked the fingerprints on the gun and bottle. They're Myron Blocks, the typewriter for the note too. I see. He tried to have the Crimson blamed. I checked too. That article in yesterday's paper that clinches my suspicions about Block. He's your man. What are your kids talking in the background there, Toys?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think I just heard. I think I just heard one of them.
Yeah, it was Lazarus screaming. Ew! He's watching something on TV.
Yeah. Let's see. So where are we at now? He's your man. Maybe he's the Crimson, too. Be nice if we could catch both at once. Hey, Block, you better blow. They figure you're the Crimson, and you pulled the job at the DA's. Why that dirty double crosser? There goes there goes Block in that cab. Step on it. Those coppers ain't gonna get me again. Take that, you. A well-directed shot sends the fugitive cab into a pole. The game's up, Block. There's enough charges against you to fix you for a lifetime in the pen. What a story! Say, Block, what about the Crimson angle? Why that lousy? See the next issue for more of the Crimson, or for more of the Crimson and his human efforts to check crime and jail the criminal. Don't miss um, Traitor's Fate. So there we go. So there we go with that one, and then we'll show you the rest of the book here. I'm going to go a little faster because I know that we get down to Slam Bradley. That's like 13 pages. So
Ooh, BatGoat's probably kicking himself, missing out on some Slam Bradley. That was funny though. I went out there's like, what's going on, guys? I can hear you on my mic in there. And my son's like, Mom farted, and it smelled like Taco Bell. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
oh my god, Mom, your wife farted.
And it smelled like Taco Bell. I was like, you had Taco Bell without me? I was like, yeah. She's like, no, and I just started laughing. I was like, okay, just hush it down, guys.
I don't know. Did you hear about that one story? About that 90-day fiance story who I guess decided to collect her farts in a jar and then I guess ended up having to go to the hospital because she ultimately had a heart attack.
I thought that was like a meme, not real. But was it real?
Yeah, apparently there have been some people reporting on it.
Wow.
I know Nick said something about it. I know Jeremy of the Quartering reported on it. You know, like I was looking on Minds earlier, and so we're already at an hour and a half. But I think it's okay if we go over a little bit. But
yeah, I don't mind. What am I gonna do?
So we're already at an hour and a half. But again, I think the next two stories we'll be able to get through okay. Because so, how did you like that story?
I thought that was pretty good. I liked it. It was very reminiscent of like a Green Hornet story.
And it does, even though it's kind of a superhero, it's classified under a superhero genre.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a detective comic, right? So
yeah, well, you got superhero and pulp in there. That's where I was going with that.
Back when the detectives didn't wear their underwear outside of their pants. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, going on to the next story here. Now, even though they have chronicled on this particular site, they chronicled them all under Adventure Comics. This went through like three different initially started out as um, new comics for the first 11 issues, then from 12 to 31, new adventure, and then eventually settling on adventure at issue 32. So a little
Sweet.
reminder of that. So, and from 32 for the rest of its run, it was known as Venture. So here we go. 64 pages of thrill-packed action from cover date October 1938 on sale date September 38. So. Harry O'Neill, which was a kind of a serial, venture serial. Catnip. That's not the same catnip as in the Harvey tunes. I don't believe. Brent. Here we go. Federal Men by Jerome Siegel and Joe Shuster. Of course, these were the guys who actually wrote Superman. These are the guys who created Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Of all crimes, kidnapping is the most foul and cowardly. Uncertainty, mortal fear, unending anguish are the cruel tortures the kidnapped victim's family must suffer. For that reason, Steve Carson, Ace G-Man, is the kidnapper's greatest nemesis. Hazelton Manor, happy home of a wealthy manufacturer, soon to be the scene of a crime that will shock the nation. Peter Hazelton's playroom. Please, Dad, just a little longer. No, Peter, it's long past your bedtime. Only a door between father and son. Um, it prevents Hazelton from seeing his child's danger. Is he? Yes, asleep. Within Peter's room, suppose the kid yells for help. This chloroform will attend to that. And what's kind of funny here was a few years prior to this, there was the infamous Lindbergh kidnapping too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Around this time. Shortly later, a dark sedan hurtles along the road, leading from Hazelton Manor, vanishing into the night. Next morning, you see the Cleveland News leader. So, and of course, as you know, many of Siegel and Schuster stories were based out of Cleveland because that's where they were from. So, Peter Hazelton kidnapped. Nationwide search. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Washington D.C. I've got to save that child and punish the kidnapper, Steve. We'll do our best, sir. When Hazelton Manor is reached, we're from the FBI. Please cooperate in every way. A ransom note has just arrived. And of course, this was a common crime back in those days. Ransom notes. Hey, toys. Eh. What happened to you again? Was that?
I don't know.
I said something. So I'd better check and see what's going on because I didn't
Yeah.
hear you reply back to what I just said. So
I was sitting here listening.
bring on the hard questions to Mike.
He'll answer anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's just it. We haven't had a whole lot of conversation, but again, I know this was still pretty early back and stuff like that. I know things will probably really get into the swing of things. BatGoat gets back. I do appreciate you filling in for him this week.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't have the same magic that BatGoat does. That's all. I'm fine with that.
well, you still are able to at least, because you still do well enough to give me somebody to banter back and forth with over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do really appreciate it. Thank you, toys. So here's what the note says: $50,000. Brought to the deserted grove tonight by you alone, or you'll never see your boy again alive.
Wow, that was some nice grammar there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess they wanted to emphasize the alive part.
Yeah. You won't interfere with my paying the ransom, will you? No, recovery of your child is of first importance. That evening, Hazelton goes to the deserted grove with the required amount. Hours elapse, no one arrives to collect the ransom money. My poor boy, why don't they come? But it seems like any time they say you should never give in to ransom demands because one, it sets a bad precedent, but also
So
most
why would they give you the boy back if they know you're willing to pay money?
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah.
They just say we want everything you have.
Later, but why don't they try to collect the ransom? They must have gotten cold feet at the last minute. Ralph, this is serious. There's no telling what will happen to the boy now. We've got to act. Good idea, but what'll we use for a clue? We already have a clue. A thread caught in the window sill. It's been sent to Washington for laboratory examination. A thread? Yes. Rather a slim chance, but here's hoping. And look at Steve right there. He's a guy. I wouldn't be surprised if the ladies go gaga. Look at him. Wouldn't you say he kind of looks like one of those guys that the ladies would go gaga over, kind of like James Bond?
I don't know. He's got a pretty rounded chin. Back in this day, the chiseled chin was more in.
Now, and I don't know if you remember from the times we've read some of the previous federal men stories, but you know that they push a group called the Junior Federal Men Club, right? You remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
In fact, there'll be an ad for it right after the story.
Oh, is that the one where like join now, and then all that turns out to be like one of them silly things like the decoder rings and gadgets?
Yeah,
or is this the commercial?
They also incorporated the JFMC in some of their stories. Most notably, that first ever crossover story with Federal Men and Radio Squad where they were talking about traffic safety.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I don't
Did
know
we
if
go over? Did you guys go over that? I don't remember that.
that was a while back.
Oh, okay.
Like we're up to issue 31 now. It's like back I think in 15 or 16. So,
Mm-hmm.
but telegram for you, sir. This must be the laboratory report. Well, don't keep me in suspense. How would you like an airplane ride? What? Whether you like it or not, we're taking one.
Oh.
Later, high in the clouds. Would it be asking too much of you for me to inquire where we're going and why? The thread came from an expensive garment worn by Sport Sam Klein. Sport Sam Klein shot
Oh, it's Klein. Sports Sam Klein. Klein.
Sport Sam Klein shop specializes in clothes of this type. And you notice some of the page looks like some of the page kind of got cut off or ripped off there a little bit. Which of course makes it harder to read sometimes because you're missing out on what they're having to try to figure out what the word actually is. You mean we're going to New York on what will probably turn out to be a wild goose chase? I mean, we're taking a long chance. When Klein's establishment is reached, do you remember selling a suit of the description I've just mentioned? No, but perhaps my clerks do. 5 minutes later, yes, I sold a suit such as you mentioned to a fellow named Jack Grant. Grant, he's a killer. Let's go. I know where Grant hides out. If only we're in time. In the hideout,
Well, they don't plan on letting the kid ever go. What's looking for?
yeah. You would get yellow been there. Time came to collect the ransom. Now now what'll we do with the feds closing in? But I was sure they'd have cops hid near the dough. So you did get cold feet.
Yeah.
There's only one thing to do. Get rid of the kid and clear out.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. No. There's only one thing to do. Get rid of the kid and clear out. That would take long. Oh wow, look at how they got the kid tied up.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that says they were never planning on letting the kid go in the first place was he's in the same room as them, so he can hear their voices, and he's not got a blindfold on or a sack over his head, so they were never going to let him go in the first place.
Yeah, well, yeah, you make a pretty good observation there because that would almost if they didn't blindfold him or keep him from being able to hear him or being in the same, in other words, if they're giving him every chance to see, hear, and learn everything he can about them, it'd be stupid for them to let him go because he could perfectly ID them when he's returned, and then they'd end up getting arrested and jailed.
Oh, did you check the chat?
No, but I will right now.
I seen that we had 4 new comments.
Okay. And you said, all right, so let's look. he has a little forehead curl, like probably he's referring
Oh,
to
a few panels back, yeah.
to Steve Carson.
Hmm.
Um, of course, that shouldn't be surprising because again, this is a Siegel Schuster story. You know, Joe Schuster being the artist, so he's got the Superman. Superman Steve Carson. If you think about it, Steve Carson does look a little bit like Superman. Steve. If
Hmm.
you look at Steve Carson, you look at Slam Bradley, you look at Superman. They do have very similar looks there to them.
Hmm.
A small one, but I'll bet it's growing.
Slap it a little bit; it'll grow fast.
Eat more Ovaltine? Don't you mean drink more Ovaltine? As far as I knew, it was a
Did Ovaltine used to come as a powder at one point, or was that just bleach that I'm thinking about when they used to wait? They used to take bleach, put the powder on their teeth, brush their teeth,
oh,
and spit it out.
ah.
That's back in the day. Though.
Pulled over just to like this. Well, thank
Oh,
you,
sweet.
RJ. I do appreciate that.
Glad to see you here, RJ.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, you want to come back and watch this over again and see what we've done and stuff like that. That's cool too. Sure you'll. I'm hoping everybody's enjoying the stories we're covering
Hmm.
so far. So, let's see.
My chat monitor died, so I had to check the one on the thing. It died.
All right, so let's see. Under Bent, Grant approaches Peter Hazelton. We can't afford to be identified. Grant aims his weapon. His finger tightens on the trigger. Now, now, Grant, and I know one of the things we were talking about on RJ stream the other night is how how I was saying sometimes you wonder if these stories were actually made for kids, but one of the other panelists was pointing out that some of them were, some of them weren't. But
Hmm.
obviously this is a pretty dark and adult story when
Yeah,
you have basically the implication here that an adult is about to shoot a child.
yeah. I would say that it was probably made for an adult, but with the mindset that a child may see it. That's why it's got the wishy washy aspect to it. But it's
Yeah,
cool. It's still good. It's still a good story.
yeah. Steve shoots from the doorway. Drop it. Oh! Later, thank heavens. Thank heavens. Peter's safe. Society too is now saved from Grant and his Confederate. The penalty for kidnapping is death. I don't I don't necessarily think kidnap. I know kidnapping is a felony, but I don't know if death penalty would really apply to unless it was a kidnapping and murder kind of situation. And this is what I was, of course, told you about right here. Junior Federal Men Club, conducted by Steve Carson.
Hmm.
And usually it was one of those type of situations where you'd send in like $1 and you'd get like a decoder ring and that kind of thing too. But they
Those
also
things are such a scam.
they would also incorporate the kids into some of the stories sometimes
Yeah,
as
it
well.
has like major prize winners that would get incorporated into the stories.
Well, in this particular case, they actually had some stories that was directly involving the JFMC and their
Yeah.
general membership. I know of at least a couple of them. Because Dale Daring, this is another kind of pulp. Now this particular feature changed over. Like at first, it featured her as kind of a G woman.
Hmm.
Then it became, well, she would accompany her father was a famous businessman, and they would get like, and then she would of course start dating a an FBI captain or whatever, and so it
Hmm.
kind of had some weird. And then Captain Desmo was a pilot type hero. go through this because we've already read the.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna just so you guys can see, the
I
panels.
really do wish they'd go back and just like reissue with color some of the older comics. That'd be pretty cool.
Some of the black and white stuff, you mean?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be entertaining to read. If that was done today,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Because I like you can go to a flea market.
We've covered some stories from Bounding into Comics
Mm-hmm.
where they've done those reviews
Yeah.
of the Arc Tunes from
Yeah.
Arcade Comics. And I know that one of the things they've talked about is how Chuck Dixon has a feature where he actually goes back and they reprint an older comic, but he adds his commentary to it in the
Mm-hmm.
comic, I guess.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Todd and Danny. Again, though, a lot of these were a mix and match. Some of them were adult stories. Some of them actually were, I think, more kid-friendly stories because,
Yeah.
Well,
that's why I said that's why that's why I said that. I think some of the stories were made for adults, but with the mindset that kids will probably see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you do have some stories here that had like anthropomorphic characters that were more designed to be more attractive to kids.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean when I say anthropomorphic characters.
Yes. I know what you mean.
Characters like Yogi Bear and Bugs Bunny, kind of, where they're basically like
the Manimals
characters who have human characteristics.
Yeah. Like I always say, they're called Manimals.
Yeah.
They're animals that act like people.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. And then here's, of course...
Oh, cool. Fencing. You see that?
Yeah. And too bad George Peter Gatz isn't here because he was asking me the other night about these ad pages, and I'm sure he would have liked to see. Like, you got the gun there, you have a mic, and you notice how they spelled it back then. They spelled it like my name, too.
Yeah.
Even though everybody knew it was, let's see, Midget Pocket Radio for $1.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, they didn't just abbreviate. They actually called it what it was. So a mic was a microphone, and a mic was a person. So it was a name.
Mm-hmm. Throw Your Voice, fencing, archery kits.
Yeah.
Look at some of this model plane kit here.
Mm-hmm.
There
was in the previous 2 stories ago, there was in one of the panels there was a jiu-jitsu instruction booklet for sale for 30 cents, I believe it was. I thought that was pretty cool.
Look at that! Look at this. So we had a black and white ad page earlier, and then they now have the same page in color here. Yeah. Look at this, like full color here, where earlier it was kind of in a.
What happened was, if you notice, that only some of them have color, so they probably offered the people they were doing the advertisement for, we'll put color in your ad for like an extra $1 or something like that. And they're like, you know what? Let's do it. And then if it worked, then they'll keep doing it. If it doesn't, then they won't. That's just how it went back then, right?
Yeah. Well, considering this was still during, even though America was starting to come out of it, this was still like the time of the Depression too.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, so we're gonna go through one more story here, and then we will probably start to wind up.
Oh, you got a message from Woody.
I got a message
from Woody, or a comment from Woody. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping, Incredible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No.
So it wasn't directed at me. It was, but well, even I said thanks for dropping in when he did. So yeah. So. All right, so now we're into more fun here. Oh yeah, that's right. Because there are more fun, and then there was more fund comics, and then even more fun comics. So unlike with the other two, where I was pretty specific. But all right, so here we go with the last one here, and the last main story we're going to look at. More fun. 64 pages of laughs and thrills. Number 36 there. Amateur Hour presented by the Crummy Cake.
Crummy cake.
Yeah, that sounds real delicious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Crummy Cake. Yeah, come by our Crummy Cakes. Now I have heard of like crumb donuts and crumb cakes before. You know, they're like kind
Because
of
they crumble. Yeah.
or they're like you know. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had Hostess donuts. You have the chocolate, you have the chocolate donuts, you have the powder donuts, then you have the crumb donuts. The crumb donuts have the Grady stuff on it, you know, whereas the powder is just powder and then chocolate.
I've had those. I don't think I've had a crumb donut in a while.
Yeah, I had them a bit.
They're not very popular over here.
Look at the color here. The color is pretty bright here.
Yeah.
See that this is Mass Ranger, and I was noticing this earlier when I was previewing earlier this morning. Another Coyote Canyon Bill run there. Three Musketeers.
Well, also you got to remember that these archives are made out of just things that were saved, right? So we could be looking at something that's got like low color, but it's just like a very poorly kept page, and that color is probably what we're getting. Whereas if we would have got it brand new, it might have been more like these ones. Yeah, well, it was nice and bright. And
well, well, these are pretty brightly colored pages here that we're seeing here. Last of the Killers by Tex Horton. Another Tex story.
That's pretty cool.
Johnny Loft by Will Eli. You know, a bit of a red and white tinge there with some black and white. Magic Crystal of History. All its two kids as they, you know, basically go through history. Red Logan. Getting down to Radio Squad, another Siegel Schuster story. And that one's going to be kind of a what?
Oh, just reading Woody's comment and I just hit my head.
Well, I saw some private comments here.
Oh, no, it's just me talking in chat every now and then.
Yeah, I was just...
Woody's comment was pretty funny. It caused me to hit my head. Oh.
Well, he had a couple of comments here, so let's take a look. The Masked Ranger sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, well, I was thinking that too, Woody. I think I know what you were thinking. Kind of reminds you of the Lone Ranger. I was thinking that same thing. When I wanted to borrow some money at the bank, I had to talk to the loan manager.
Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger.
Lone Arranger. Like, you know, arrange.
Yeah.
Lone Arrange, yeah. I got that. I hit my head. I was laughing. I was like, oh.
That's some pretty...
At least it wasn't an expensive mistake knocking some of these off. The thing cost me hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, and of course, without BatGoat here, we don't have the Lulz competition going on.
Well, I have one, so it would be
Woody would probably want it with that one, unless somebody else comes across and said something. Peeking at Pictures, Gary Hawk by Rob Jenny.
Bit of a dark humor joke, but what's worse than finding a baby in a dumpster?
Worse than finding a baby in a dumpster.
Yeah, what's worse than finding a baby in a dumpster?
I don't know. What would be worse than finding a baby in a dumpster?
Finding a baby in 10 dumpsters.
Like one baby in 10 dumpsters?
Yep. Think about it. Think about it.
Does that have to do with maybe his dirty diaper?
No. Think about it. It's a dark humor joke, so think about it in a very dark sense. What's worse than finding one baby in one dumpster? Finding one baby in 10 dumpsters.
I don't get it.
Okay. Think about it. Then, like tomorrow, you're sitting there, you're like, "Oh my gosh, that is so dark." Yeah.
It's over my head. I don't get it.
It's a dad. Yeah, that's why. That's why. Woody got me.
Buccaneer.
Well, think about it. If you have, I'm just replying to Woody here. He said half a baby. I was like, no. Think about it. You got one baby and 10 dumpsters. How do you get one baby in 10 dumpsters? Oh, there you go. There we go. He got it. He got it.
He got it, but I never did. It's a dad joke. Okay, no one. Half a baby. Duh.
Yeah, because what you do? How do you get one baby in 10 dumpsters? You
What
put multiple
you
parts
cut it
of
up
that.
in 10. So are you saying that the
Yeah,
fun of the joke is you cut the baby up in 10 pieces?
yeah. That's worse than finding one baby in one dumpster.
Yeah, that would be worse, but it went totally over my head. I didn't even think of that because you're right. That is pretty dark.
Yeah.
Talking about mutilating a baby.
Hmm.
All right, here we go. Radio Squad, Siegel and Schuster. Calling car K7, fire at 1321 Ontario, rush.
Ontario. Interesting.
Ontario. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, a fire! Something tells me we should have become a fireman instead of a cop. Sandy Keene's radio car siren screaming reaches its destination. A warehouse. Notice how they spelled it back then? As a
Oh yeah.
hyphenated word as opposed to one word, where and that's how
Yeah.
we'd have it as one compound word today. To find a blazing inferno. How did it start? Don't know, but I do know the insurance company is going to suffer a big loss. Suddenly, from overhead, what was that? Sounded like barking. Look! At a window high overhead, a dog whimpers and crawls desperately into view. Look at that. You see that, toys? Have you disappeared on me again? Oh, he stepped away from the computer there. Of course, there is no trial going on right now where a guy is killed, where a guy killed his parents and put them in several freezers. Hmm. I guess toys.
I'm here. I just had to get my medication.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look at the picture I have up there, toys. The one at the right there.
Oh, let me enlarge my screen. At a window high overhead, a dog whimpers and crawls desperately into a view. Oh, there's a fire going on, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's pretty cool. The dog really
I
doesn't
don't
look like
think
a
that
dog.
dog thinks it's cool.
Of course.
A net is held in readiness. You remember? I don't know. You remember seeing some of those in cartoons before? Those little like bounce nets.
Oh, the canvas,
Yeah.
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 They were also portrayed as blankets at one point.
Yeah. Jump, Pooch! It's your only chance. But instead of jumping, the dog wheels and re-enters the window. The dog isn't going to jump; he's going to go right back into the fire. Smart dog. Or maybe he
Yeah.
wants to be a hot dog.
Well, he's definitely acting like a wiener.
And we've been talking about wieners this week, right?
Yeah.
Some guys have been acting like real wieners. uh, he'll burn to death. Oh, no, he won't. Not if I can help it. Into the blazing warehouse dashes Sandy, evading restraining hands. So people are trying to keep him running in there.
Yeah.
Rescue the dog. Come back, Sandy. You'll never make it out alive. You'll never come out alive. He's doomed. 1 minute passes, 2 minutes, while the onlookers wait in an agony, of uncertainty. Why doesn't Sandy appear? Why doesn't Sandy appear at the window? The building will collapse any minute. Within the building, the heat, the smoke, stifling, choking me. But I've got to go on. I can't last much longer.
Now read all that without having William Shatner's dialogue in your head.
Or his particular vocal pattern. Yeah.
Ah, must go on.
Abruptly, Sandy finds himself beside the dog and a recumbent man. Reached you at last. Dead. Murdered. No wonder the dog didn't jump. He wouldn't leave his master. Summoning his last ounce of strength. So basically, he believes that the dog was the murdered guy's master. Summoning his last ounce of strength, Sandy lifts the murdered man to his shoulders. You know what? You know what they call that? You know what they call that? What he's doing right there? And it's kind of apropos for this story right now.
Fireman's carry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fireman's carry. To his shoulder and stumbles towards the window. Hooray! There's Sandy. He's carrying a man. Down into the net, Sandy drops the corpse. Then he jumps himself with the dog in his arms. And you see the dog in his left arm right there?
Oh, I found them. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. You think some of these SJW comic book writers would do something like that?
They'd be pretty quick to throw them out a window. I don't know if there'd be people willing to catch somebody under it though.
Yeah. Next moment, the building commences to crash. Sandy had escaped with not an instant to spare. Wow, that's really dramatic. When you say so, Toys.
Yeah.
Next day, Sandy receives a visitor at the hospital. Larry, it's sure swell of you to come so soon. I had to know how your condition is. Were you badly burnt? I'll be out of this joint in no time at all. It takes more than a little singerin to keep me down. Has the slain man yet been identified? Now, Sandy Keene, I'm thinking of as like kind of a Scottish or Irish name. That's why I'm trying to do the accent that way. Should have done it from the beginning, but course, I've been out of practice here for the last couple weeks or so. So he was a night watchman, and the dog was his pet. It's been definitely established that the place was deliberately set on fire, but who committed the crimes and why is not yet known. Several days later, I'll bet you're sure glad to be back on your feet again, Sandy. You said it. Let's drop in at the dog pound. So you're completely well too, Well, that's fine. What's going to happen to the pooch? Unless someone claims him, he'll be destroyed.
Euthanized, obliterated,
Mm-hmm.
put 6 feet under, put into the inferno.
I didn't save him from a burning building to have you kill him. I'll take him. That'll be quite satisfactory.
To be honest, I bet the person that was standing there wanted that person to take it. That's why they said that.
Yeah.
Because they knew they'd save
That
it. No
could
matter
be.
what.
Yeah, that could be. Well, it probably is a common practice that a stray dog like that has no owner, sometimes they would have to destroy it.
Yeah.
So.
Mm.
Well, Larry, now we've got a pet. Bah, I never did care much for dogs. Look, he likes you. He does at that. I guess he's not an ordinary dog. Maybe he's a thoroughbred.
Don't look like a
Thoroughbred?
thoroughbred.
The thoroughbred's a horse, not a dog. Even I know that. I'm not too familiar.
Woody said something in the chat, I see.
Well, we'll take a look.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I think I might have seen that earlier, this comment. Oh, yeah, I read that earlier. You were gone when I read that. Are you talking about the trial? And he deleted it, I guess, on I guess the message was deleted on the YouTube page. So.
Oh, okay. You guys can't hide nothing from the StreamYard's chat.
Yeah.
We see.
Oh. What do we call him? Cracks. It sounds kind of high class. Cracks. In the ensuing days, Cracks accompanies Sandy and Larry in their radio car. This is against the regulations. Now you wouldn't be fooling, would you? Now you wouldn't be fooling, would you? And one day, calling car K7 1512 Elmwood Drive, House of Fire. Like my radio voice.
Yeah. Sounded pretty cool.
Another fire, step on it. That's just what I'm doing. When the scene of the conflagration is reached, some bonfire. You said it. Abruptly, as Cracks sights a fireman, he growls and leaps at him. Let go, you mutt! I said let go. Hey, he can't do that to Cracks and get away with it.
Give it the old boot.
He went into the burning building. I'll follow and tell him a thing or two. Hey, yo! Where are you? Suddenly, Sandy halts as he sights the fireman staring enraptured at the flames. Flames! Leaping, burning, beautiful. What the? Sandy voices an abrupt inspiration. You! You're the one who killed the watchman and the fire to the warehouse. That's why Cracks attacked you. Yes, he discovered me setting fire to the warehouse just as I did to this house. So I had to kill him.
A real fireman.
Well, I know a little something about this because I've read the synopsis before, and I read the synopsis earlier. So, but you'll find out. You'll find out here in a moment what I kind of already know. A fireman setting fires? You must be a pyromaniac. I joined the service only to see fires. When there weren't enough, I decided to start some of my own. Oh, dude is a pyromaniac.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've started your last fire. You're under arrest. Oh, no, I'm not. The flames are hungry. We must feed them with our flesh. Let go. You'll kill us both. Food for the flames. Ha ha. Don't you hear them clamoring for us? Man, the dude's a real psycho, isn't he? Boys,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
suddenly a small figure streaks through the air and knocks the pyromaniac off balance. Cracks, good work. Later, if it hadn't been for Cracks' assistance, I'd never have overpowered that madman. Just goes to prove that what I've always claimed: a man's best friend is his dog. The end. So, all right. So, and then I'll just kind of breeze to the last of this, and then so now we're through the main art, so we'll probably start to wind down.
Okay.
And boys, if you don't mind sticking around afterwards for a few minutes, for
Of
a couple
course.
minutes, for a little post game review, because we're about to wind down here and look as we've always seen the preview pages. Alrighty then. So there we go with that. I hope everybody enjoyed the stories tonight. I surely did. Granted, I know voicing might not have been as good as I normally am with the voices, but you guys know how that can be, coming back. Let's see.
So, just as a flex to the chat, just gonna show off my swatch that's been sitting in the corner here the entire stream.
Huh. Well, I didn't want to score anybody off that might drop into the chat with gruesome images.
Excuses. Excuses.
All right. So, anyways, guys, we got through the stories. I hope everybody enjoyed them tonight.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah, 2009, 2000.
Of course, it is.
I just realized something too. I forgot to do the whole tag thing, but I can always go back and do that afterwards as well. Um,
Tag thing. There's a tag
like,
thing?
well, okay, so usually, um, so you may have, so when you create a video, right? When
Yeah.
you for YouTube and you go through the so there's a thing where you can put tags on it, which means
Yeah.
like little notations. I think I forgot to do that, but
Oh, okay.
I'll go back and do that after the stream here. All right, so today, without any, we're gonna start wrapping up here, guys. Without any further ado, today being January 7th, 2021, we're gonna take a look back at this day in each history. Is everybody ready for this day in each history?
Woo!
And I'm sure Woody's about to tell me to niche it up, right, Woody? As we wait for him to respond.
Tags to help search terms find it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started then. So, as I said, today is Friday, January the 7th, 2021. Let's take a look back at this day in each history. And we actually have a couple of deaths. Kind of funny. Two deaths happened on this very same day um, in the world of niche back 20 years ago today in 2002. So the first one, and Woody, you may know this guy. Go gadget history. Okay, you may know this guy because I know you're a bit of Mighty Igor, a former AWA World Heavyweight Champion, as well as being somebody who was popular in the Midwestern portion of the country, particularly in Detroit. He passed away on this date at the age of 70. He was known to most fans throughout like the Detroit area. He wrestle with the likes of Bobo Brazil, the Sheik, Fabulous Kangaroos. His
Me go.
character was pretty much as a kind of a big and powerful yet kind of
Mm-hmm.
not so smart Polish guy.
Yeah.
So, but he was a legend in particularly in the Detroit area. Mighty Igor was his most well known name. Also went by the name Mighty Igor Vodich. His real name was Dick Garza. So on this date back in 2002, Mighty Igor would pass away at the age of 70. Also, we have um, one more. Did have one other passing that happened on this date back in 2002 in the world of niche. This one being Avery Schreiber, who was an American actor and comedian. He would provide the voice of Tubbs and Pound back in the 80s. Benny the
Mm-hmm.
Ball in the Hanna-Barbera movie Top Cat and the Beverly Hills Cat, Beanie the Brain Dead Bison, and
Mm-hmm.
Maniac. He would pass away at the age of 66. So Avery Schreiber passed away on this day as well in 2002 at the age of 66, as well as Mighty Igor passing away at the age of 70.
Too young.
Do you? Well, they lived about the average lifespan at the time. But all right. So, anyways, after those two, we have a couple more here.
Mm-hmm.
Next off, we come up to 2009, which was of course 13 years ago today. On this date, 13 years ago today in 2009, the 170th issue of Looney Tunes, which was being
Oh, yeah.
published at the time by DC, went on sale on this date for $2.50. There was 32 pages. It was kind of an anthology title that covered, of course, the Looney Tunes characters. You see Daffy Duck on the cover there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this particular title, this particular series, is actually, according to what I see here, is still running. It started back in 1994, and it's still running to this very day. And on this date, back in 2009, the 170th issue of said series went on sale. So there we go with that. For, of course, as I said, 2050 cents. It was, oops, back too far there.
$2.50. Holy,
Well,
that's
that was in
expensive.
2009. That was like 13
Oh, okay.
years ago. That wasn't like back where we usually
Yeah.
been in the golden age, but
Top Cat was fun.
yeah. So
I enjoyed that show when it was out. Well, when it was coming out with new episodes.
well, you like many of us would have probably seen it more in syndication because Top Cat originally came out like back, I think it was like 61 or 62, like early 60s when it originally came out. Came out around the same time as like the Flintstones and the Jetsons.
Mm-hmm.
So Burns and Shriver, I remember they had a show. I didn't get Schreiber, not Shriver. But, oh yeah, I can do Benny the Ball's voice
Mm-hmm.
in my memory. Know exactly who you're talking. Well, I think in this case, he was in the movie. I don't know if he was in the original series or not. They just said in the movie he was in the movie. I was in the 80s there. Top Cat was fun. I had no idea at the time that it was a send up of the Phil Shivers show. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. So now we got one last piece of history to get to. Had no idea that there had been a Top Cat movie. I'll have to look it up. Yeah, it was done several years after the main show. I think it was like 1987.
Yeah.
It's called Top Cats and the Beverly Hills Cats.
Mm-hmm. It was a crossover, right?
I don't think it was a crossover.
No?
It was.
I remember a crossover. Yeah.
No. I mean, it was a Hanna-Barbera production, so.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there were Beverly Hills Cats as a character, but let's see. So we have one more piece of niche history to get to, and that's in the anime section. And that one was just 5 years ago, as back in 2017 here. The second part of the movie version of the anime movie Kabanari of the Iron Fortress, Kabanari of the Iron Fortress Part 2 Burning Life premiered on this date in 2017.
Mm-hmm. That was a really good show, by the way.
Huh?
That was a really good show. I'd recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I probably will watch it at some point, but this was the movie. This was not the main show. This was the movie that debuted on this date 5 years ago. This is part 2 of the movie, Burning Life. So on this date 5 years ago from Wit Studio, the anime movie Kabanari of the Iron Fortress Part 2 Burning Life premiered. So anyways, guys, that's it. I thank everybody for being here. We'll be back here, of course, on Monday to get back into the niche news and everything. And, of course, next Friday, we'll be continuing our coverage of September 1938, getting into Dell Comics. We'll be looking at Crack-a-Jack Funnies number 5 and The Funnies number 25. So I got 6 stories that I'm going to probably go over. And next week, of course, I'll be joined by RJ from Critical Blast. So hopefully you guys will come back and check that out. Thanks. I had a blast. I'm glad you did. I hope we can eventually get more people in here to have a blast with us. That would be real cool, you know. But I hope that if people do this I hope that since I do keep this up, people will try to watch it and enjoy it and you know learn about some of this stuff. Anyways, guys, I thank you, and I'll see you all back on Monday. And ATC, you're gonna hang out, right, for a sec?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.